Good afternoon, Kansas City. We are so excited to have you with us again. Thank you so much. You could be anywhere in the world, but you choose to be here with me on Up Close and Cultural with Dr. Karasay. Before we begin, we have a few housekeeping things, some things that we always take care of in the beginning. Take a moment and pause and look on the screen. You'll see where we're connected across all of the socials. So if you would just take a moment, like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can find us across all of the social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TuneIn, Twitch, KUAW.org. And also there is a number streaming where you can call into the show. You can call in live with your questions. You can also text us and talk to us across throughout the show if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. It is so important. I always say this. This is how I always start out the show. It is so important and it's free. The likes are free. The thumbs up are free if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. It is so important that you share this. The engagement moves this information throughout the different platforms. It gets us into that algorithm. It tells the algorithm that Black media is important. It tells the algorithm that people are watching Black media. Again, this is Black owned, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And keeping these programs where we can tell our story, our way is paramount. It is very important. So again, take a moment, like, comment, share, and subscribe. So with that being said, we are all impacted by the culture, be it by government, music, entertainment, regardless. The culture is a part of our world. And this is where we talk about it every first and third Sunday here at Up Close and Cultural with Dr. Karasay on KUAW. That is knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Today, I am excited because we have a special guest with us. We all know that it is election season. Not only which we are just so bombarded with all of the national campaigns, but it is very important that we pay attention to the local campaigns. You all know, I love everybody. Still, you all know, you hear my Twitter and everything going off already. No, she's not Missouri. Someone was asking if you're running in Missouri, but you know, she's Kansas. But what was I saying? We're always, bombarded with the ads from the national campaigns, but our local elections are very important. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about that. I'll talk about that a lot. Again, in a nutshell, these people don't appear out of nowhere. The people who go to Washington, D.C., those people who sit on the Hill. For example, Josh Hawley was in Missouri on a farm. And now he's doing what he does in Missouri. From Missouri in D.C. We have a weatherman. He was a weatherman.
We got two of them, one in Kansas and one in Missouri.
Absolutely. We have a weatherman that ran for Senate and won. Then he ran for the U.S. Senate. And now this weatherman is in D.C. Mm-hmm. That's on the Missouri side. We talk about him all the time, but I broke it down for you the last show. We also have a weatherman in Kansas who supports someone who told us to nuke hurricanes and to drink bleach to get rid of COVID. Mm-hmm. So again, these people came right from our city you saw them on TV or came from our metro area. I know sometimes we make light of this, but that is because we have to, and it's not because it's a joke, it's no laughing matter, but with the trauma and the things that we endure and have endured for so long and throughout these elections, sometimes we just have to add a little, levity to the conversation just to give ourselves a break and a moment. But what is very important is that you get out and vote. It is imperative that you get out and vote because, again, and I will reiterate, what happens locally can end up affecting you nationally. What we're going to talk about today is the importance of the local elections, and with everything going on right here with you in the local metro area, our guest is running for the 35th House seat of Wyandotte County in Kansas. And she is running against the current holder of the seat, Marvin Robinson. And she is running as a Democrat. You guys know that time is winding down. The primary election is on Tuesday. I do hope that you all have made it to the polls. For those of you who need transportation, for those of you who have not registered yet, of course, it's too late to get registered for this election, but still we have that information to get you registered for November. So still it's not too late. Again, my email is always there. You can always contact the station and we will get you, do what we need to do to get you registered. Those of you who feel like that you are not eligible to vote, don't sit and think about it. Call and ask. And we will figure out a way or an avenue to get you registered to vote. The help is there. And we have someone here, our guest here today. She's already active in the community. She is very active in the community. I am so grateful and so thankful to have met her. She is very active. We share a lot of the same values, a lot of the same concerns, and I'm not just saying that just because she is a part of the best sorority in the world, Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
also because we share, absolutely, we share a lot of the same causes. For those of you who are in the Wyandotte County area, even the Kansas City metro area, if you've seen her working, advocating for women's rights, for the Crown Act. If you guys know, the Crown Act deals with, and I want to make sure that I get the acronym right. The acronym for is creating respectful and open world for
natural hair.
Natural hair. I just want to make sure that it's across for every state. Okay, for natural hair. Okay, so let me say it right. So the Crown Act is creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. She's an advocate, and has worked very hard to have that act passed in Kansas. She also is the founder of Shirley's Kitchen Cabinet in Kansas, and she is just active and present already in the community. And if she is doing all of these things, and these are just what I just mentioned right now, there's so much more, of course, that I'm going to allow her to speak on. Just imagine the things that she will be able to do if we get her to Topeka, because she's already off to a great start. She already has the know-how. She already has the knowledge. She just needs our vote and our support behind her. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to some and to just for others just to say hello to others. Michelle.
Hello, Dr. Kara. Say thank you so much for having me.
Mhm.
We've got just 2 days before Election Day. And so I've been hitting the doors as I've been hitting the doors every day since I filed, talking to the voters directly, making sure I knock all the doors in the community, not once, but at least twice, 3 times, depending on where you're at in the community as I'm making my third round. I don't believe I can represent anybody that I've not talked to, that I've not worked to earn the vote from, that I've not asked what your issues are. And so that has been my approach to this campaign, to talk to people face to face so they can meet the person that is asking for the opportunity, the honor, and the privilege to represent them in the State House. So thank you for giving me the space on your platform that you've created to give voice to so many of us in the community to have this discussion today.
You are welcome. You are welcome. I appreciate you saying that. That is so poignant. You saying that you can't represent people that you haven't spoken to. And I know that in Kansas, well, let me say this, and I don't know if a lot of people know this about Wyandotte County itself, but Wyandotte County is not just the most diverse county as far as race and ethnicity in the state of Kansas, but it is also the most diverse area in the United States. There is not another area within the United States that has the African American, the Indian, the Hispanic, and I can't even name all of the cultures because it is just that
Mhm.
diverse. So when you say how important, or when you say that you actually cannot represent who you don't speak to, that is so poignant because each area in Wyandotte County, each each group of people all have their different areas of concern.
Mhm.
So with that being said, you speaking with the people in Wyandotte County and with it being such a diverse area. First one, how do you plan to address such a diverse populace and be able to affect change in such a large diverse, when it just large and in respect to the different um, the different ethnicities and the different races, but still have that unity that Wyandotte County actually does have.
I think the blessing and opportunity that I've had in speaking with the community is that no matter who I've talked to, no matter their background, their age, their culture, there's a common thread of issues that everybody in my district has experienced. And just for your listeners, District 35 for the Kansas House of Representatives runs, and I'm giving some general borderlines. There's some carve outs, but it runs from downtown all the way to about 72nd, 74th Street, going east and west, and then from parallel all the way up north, excluding
Mm.
again cutouts and carve outs. But some areas go all the way up to the Fairfax district. And so when you walked that many blocks and talked to people from across that spectrum, no matter where they live or where they come from, there's some common issues. Everybody's talking about how the property taxes are too high. Everybody's talking about how the utility bills are entirely too high. Everybody's talking about the issue of not having a mainstream grocery store where they can get all of their shopping done in one shop without having to go out to a different county or a different city to get the necessities. Everybody's talking about it, the lack of resources to deal with mental health issues or to support those who are battling substance abuse. Everybody's talking about resources for foster care parents, whether you're a grandparent taking care of your child or you've decided to adopt a child, that there is a lack of resources to deal with those issues. I've heard of everything from stray dogs. I've run into stray dogs, which is why I've lost weight on
I
the
think that
campaign.
he
And running from packs of stray dogs to seeing them on the streets to
Mhm.
just basic city services not being rendered, especially for the amount of taxes that we pay. Deed and title theft. senior services. It doesn't matter who I've talked to, and I've talked to people who hail from Laos and Armang, Cambodia, Burma, uh, so many members of the Hispanic community, uh, members from, who have come from countries in Africa, and those who have lived here for centuries. I have talked to members of this community who have held residency here since the late 1800s. And there are generations of families that have been living here, calling Wyandotte County home. Our issues are the same, and so to ensure that we remain united as a community and advocating for the issues that are important to the northeast part of the Wyandotte County, opening a transparent and easy to use line of communication, making sure that everyone is updated. Like some of our representatives who have been redrawn out of this district through redistricting, who've been drawn out of this district through redistricting. I've heard from a number of people that there was an appreciation for Congresswoman Sharice Davids and that she always sent updates. You always knew what was going on.
Right.
Making sure that we have those same same communication chains open, which is why I've not only knocked doors, but I've sent letters and mailers and text messages. I've given out my personal cell phone number. So if you're getting a text from me, you're getting a text from me. There are people texting me right now. And as soon as I get done with this show, I will be replying back. If you've called me and left me a voicemail, I have returned your call and either talked to you on the phone or left a voicemail. Having an open line of communication, I think, is going to be key to ensuring that everybody in this district stays connected, is up on the resources and opportunities available for us to thrive and prosper in the northeast part of the dot, like our counterparts in the Legends, like our counterparts in Argentine, like our counterparts in Strawberry Hill. They all have representatives at the state level who are working to bring home wins for those parts of Wyandotte County. And I'm not seeing why we can't have those same wins in the northeast part of Wyandotte County.
Absolutely. That is the issue with the areas here. And actually, when I say here, I would say I'll just include the entire, metro area. As they say, when one part of the metro area sneezes, the other part catches a cold. So we're all in this together, and it's about unifying. And it is about realizing that the divisive conversations that have happened and are ongoing don't get us anywhere. You have to, again, the taxes do not care if you live in Argentine or Strawberry Hill. Everyone is complaining about that. But the important part is, like you said, to keep those lines of communication open so people understand how the process of government works. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that. And that is what the frustrating part is, because they believe that some do, and not justifying the taxes because they are ridiculously high. But people sometimes think that you can, as soon as you're elected, you go to Topeka and vote yes or you vote no, and just like that, things change. And that's not the way it goes. There's a process. Things have to go to committee, and then they actually have to get in front of you first. And the great thing about Sharice, like you said, is that she kept people informed about the process. And sometimes you have to name names. You have to say, this is what happened. This is who said yes, and this is who said no, and this is how we want to move forward. So, with such a diverse population, what is your plan, or do you have a plan to keep the area of Wyandotte County informed, but also informed in a way to let them know that you are there working for all of us and not just for Black people or for Black women or however, again, talking about those divisive conversations, but that you would be the representative for everyone in your district.
At the state level, your representative is not only the representative for your district, but
Mhm.
they also are passing laws and policies that impact the entire state. And so
Mhm.
when you talk about the process, you have to gain consensus and build relationships and partnerships with legislators from across the state. And so the issue of property tax, for instance, is an issue that is not only impacting the entire county of Wyandotte County, but the impact is being felt across the state of Kansas. I think that in naming not only the names of policymakers who may not be supportive or may be supportive of these issues, we also have to be able to call out when there are communities that are suffering disproportionately as compared to others, and then identifying what are the issues that are leading to disproportionate impact so that we can address them. You know, we're only as strong as our weakest link, so to speak. And
Mhm.
not that Northeast Wyandotte County is a weak link by no means. We are a resilient people. This county has a great history of resilience and building and economic prosperity. I remember growing up seeing upper and middle class homes all across this part of the district, and Black families and families, other families of color who took care of their homes and took pride in home ownership in this community. So it's not that it's the people per se, but I do think that having representation that is active, that is present, that is alert, that is connected to the community makes a difference. It makes a difference. And for a long time, this part of Wyandotte County has not had the opportunity to take advantage of having representation, um, depending at the level that you look at, that has kept the community informed, that has been a bridge builder, that has worked to ensure that we continue to grow and prosper like a lot of the other areas of this county. So I want to name that because, we see it. You see it. You see development and greatness happening all around you. And when you see it happening around you and it's not happening for you, you begin to question what's going on. And so
Mhm.
that's why I named that. But I plan on doing quite a few things. First of all, making sure that there's a website, a regular email, and information going out directly to the community. Whether you vote, you don't vote, you voted for me, you didn't vote for me. I've been working with local newspapers to develop the opportunity to have a regular column in the newspaper where I can then give information about what's going on at the state level. And so I won't name the newspaper yet because I just want to make sure, we get everything, all the T's crossed and the I's dotted before prematurely stating anything. But I've been in discussions with local newspapers to make sure that there's a regular information column. I am and have had developed relationships with leaders at every level of government in this region and across the state. And so finding ways for us to partner and bringing those leaders representing different areas of government together to give information on a regular basis, whether that's a monthly coffee session, a quarterly coffee session, or a lunch or a brunch or whatever makes sense for this community, to ensure that you all are getting in front of, that we all are getting in front of decision makers in every place and space, whether it be the school board, the county commission, the
Mhm.
federal level and federal entities, so that you have access to the leaders that are making decisions on your behalf, but may not have had the opportunity to access you directly or talk to you directly about how those decisions are being made. Those are just a few of the ways I plan on keeping people informed and engaged. And while it is our responsibility as members of this community to be civically informed and to do our research and do the work, on some level it's the work of those representing you to make sure you're informed too, as you're
Mhm.
dealing with, issues of childcare and inflation and working every day. And some of us are dealing with aging parents. Some of us are dealing with children we're trying to raise. There's only so much time in the day for you to be doing research and staying on top of things. There are hundreds of bills that are passed at the state level every session in a span of 90 days. In a
Mhm.
span of 90 days, you can only do so much research and so much information seeking before you're able to, feel like you're fully informed. But that's what your representative should be doing also, making sure you stay informed, bringing the information to you, bringing the resources to you. I feel like that would be my duty if I were to be elected to the seat, and that is a duty I would take seriously. And it's a duty I have a lot of experience doing through my nonprofit and through a lot of my other work in the community. And so I just hope to carry that on and continue in that fashion and grow on that so that my community is informed.
Mhm. Okay. We're piggybacking on, since we're here, let's talk about the experience that you already have. As I mentioned at the top of the show, you are already present in the community. You are already working for and in Wyandotte County, and you are already and have been in Topeka and throughout Kansas, really doing the work. And a lot of the time, people want to know, well, what experience does this person have? Can they build relationships with people? Because again, that is very important when you're in the house and you have to get these bills passed. Because again, a lot of times, it's about making deals and compromising, and then also having the intelligence and the experience to know what needs to happen to get these things moving, and then what needs to be moved as far as what's important to the people in the community, and with yours to such a diverse community. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your experience and the things that you have already done in Wyandotte County to make you qualified to go to the state house.
So, as I've shared with people on the doors, my experience growing up in the being born in Juniper Gardens on First Street in Wyandotte County has shaped how I've approached community service. I've been in community service for as long as I can remember, and most recently started the nonprofit Shirley's Kitchen Cabinet. I started maybe probably going on 6 years ago now. It's named for Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to run for president on a major party ticket, and the first Black woman elected to Congress. And we work to amplify the voices and power of Black women and the families and communities that they serve. And through that work with Shirley's Kitchen Cabinet, we did surveying of people in the community in Wyandotte County a few years ago to identify what were the top issues impacting the people of this district. Um, Health and welfare, health and healthcare was one of the top concerns. Whereas on the Missouri side, when we did surveying, economic prosperity was one of the top issues. And so, in doing that surveying and listening to people of the community, we developed programming to both educate and to inform members of the community about how they can address these different issues. And in doing so, we've worked to pass policies at the local level with commissions and city councils across the state, but particularly in this region. And we've done work at the state level in Kansas to push issues that are important to this community. The Crown Act is one. We were finding that across the state and even right here in this region, our kids were being kicked out of school or off sports teams or losing their scholarships for wearing their hair in locks, braids, or twists. We've seen across the nation where our kids have not been allowed to graduate or walk across the stage. Some of us has even experienced not being able to get a job because you're wearing locks, braids, or twists. And so that was an initiative that we picked up, a policy piece that we picked up and have been working on for the last 4 years in the Capitol. And through that work, and in working with legislators on different policy pieces in the background, whether it be helping to write bills to get grant funding for grocery stores or resources to small businesses and veterans, or working with legislators on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, to get resources for businesses that would be willing to institute apprenticeship programs for students who maybe college isn't their thing or college isn't for them. And when you look at the rising cost of college and student loan debt that our kids are having to take on to be educated, only to come out to jobs that are only paying $30,000 a year, looking at non-traditional paths to employment and to creating wealth is an important piece. And so we've worked in the background with legislators on both sides of the aisle on all of these different issues. but that gave us a front row seat to what has been occurring over the last couple of sessions, at least, with my opponent, and in watching time and time again how our district specifically has not been able to leverage the opportunities that the State House brings to bring resources back to this part of the district, to bring money to this part of the district, to get grocery stores, funding for grocery stores in this part of the district is what compelled me to take my community service, years of community service, not only through my nonprofit, but in so many different spaces, to take it to another realm. And so that's why I've decided to run for this seat. Out of high school, I decided to become a carpenter with the Carpenters Union and worked with J. Dunn Construction for most of that time, and Nebraska Furniture Mart and Wyandotte County Wyandotte High School were a few of my first projects. And through working with unions, I've learned firsthand not only to develop a strong work ethic, but what it means to fight for living wages and the other issues that are important to this district. So that's what I bring to this seat. I've also been blessed. I don't even know how else to put it, but blessed to have the opportunity to live and study abroad. And so every time that I've been out of the community, it has been for opportunities to either work nationally in advocacy, or when I was awarded a Rotary Club scholarship of almost $30,000 to study anywhere in the world. I went and studied at one of the world's top law schools, not just the U.S., the world. It's ranked with Harvard and Yale. Studied public international law and politics in the Netherlands. But I've always taken the blessings and gifts that I've had and received because of the community that raised me and brought it back here so that we all can so that everyone in this community can benefit from the work that they put into me and the seeds that I've had sown into me. And so I feel like that's my duty. And, when thinking about issues impacting this district, I also think about what it means for all of our children who have left Wyandotte County, and creating a place where they feel like they can come back to and raise their kids and raise their families and contribute to the community that raised them. And so finding ways to make sure that we're creating a thriving, healthy, and safe Wyandotte so that we can have the best of our community come back and continue to invest in our community is another issue that I think is top of mind for me and important.
Right, right. It's you don't meet a lot of people with the diverse background that you have, because I know when I was speaking with Judge Tony Martinez, we were speaking about how the traditional route, as some people call it, where you just leave college or you leave high school and go straight to college, how they call that the traditional route, and that's normally what people do. That's what I did. That's what he did. However, there are people in his family who didn't do that and still are as successful as he is. A degree does not determine a person's worth. Anything that you do to better yourself is equally as good, is equally as important, and it makes all of us worthy when you grow. And anything that you do to expand your surrounding, expand your knowledge, and expand your wealth of or just expand your environment is great on on any range, on any level. So with especially Wyandotte County, because the conversation also came about again with the high taxes, and there are people who have to work because they just simply can't afford not to, and that sometimes puts a ding in going right off to school, or having their children go right off to school, or they have to find an alternative means to take care of themselves. But one thing that the state of Kansas has been fighting is the school voucher. And then we also have to think nationally, for those who have read our talk on here a lot, or I started talking on here a lot about Project 2025 and how actually um, if the male is elected into office, that his plan is to completely dismantle the Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, that is what the voucher system in the state of Kansas will do. But that's just on. We haven't even gotten to the college level yet. But what has been missing in the school system is those fields that you spoke about, the carpentry or the cosmetology and those other areas that children were able to have before they even graduated high school. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
curriculums even allow kids to have other college credits before they go to or before they graduate high school, and then
Mm-hmm.
they already
Mm-hmm.
enter college with enough hours to possibly have an associate's degree, and then it only takes them another 2 years or so to get their bachelor's. So knowing that is an issue and a concern as well, where do you, because there have been issues with the current holder of this seat, um, they're very concerned. The people who that kind of that I've spoken to are very concerned about what um, the person who will hold this seat again stands on education, and then what will you not only vote for, but what do you have a plan for Wyandotte County?
Yeah, the current seat holder, Representative Marvin Robinson, has voted in support of school vouchers, voted to dismantle DEI initiatives and programming and affirmative action type policies at the state level with state colleges and universities. And so his track record on voting for those issues and voting for issues related to education uh, does not align with the values of this district. And so ensuring that we have a clear sense of what's needed, having a representative who's clear on what is needed in education and is ready to navigate the process of working with legislators across the aisle to make sure the resources and the policies that are needed are passed is important. It's also important to note, you talked about Project 2025, and no matter who gets elected to the presidency this upcoming year, we can't forget that our state leaders are often connected to these national organizations and these national leaders. And
Absolutely.
what doesn't get done at the federal level or at the national level usually gets trickled down to the state level. And so when we talk about the importance of local elections, this is going to be a clear example of why, while the presidential elections and congressional elections are very, very important, your local and state elections are going to be just as important. The leader of the Senate, the Republican leader of the Senate, is the chairman for ALEC, and ALEC has partnered with Project 25 and creators of the Project 2025. And if we think for 1 second that the policies of Project 2025 are not going to be passed down through the president of the Senate, we're missing the boat here on what we can expect in the upcoming state legislative session. And so being aware of what those policies are, how they may get pushed through, understanding the gut and go process, knowing that legislators are often on the floor in the last weeks of the legislature until 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning passing bills because they know you're sleepy, they know you're tired, and they know you're not going to be paying attention to what's going on. Understanding how to navigate all that is going to become extremely important. But having local leaders in the right positions is also extremely important. One of my opponents is Ms. Wanda Brownlee Page. She's taught in this district for over 30 years. Ms. Wanda Brownlee Page retired in 2012 and then ran for the school board, see, if I'm not mistaken, in 2017, and will be on the school board until 2026. Her insight and expertise is invaluable when we think about all the issues plaguing our local school district. There's been an exodus of special education teachers that our district is dealing with. We just got our accreditation back. The school district is looking at possibly putting forth another bond measure to pay for the needs of the district. There's issues with the curriculum and our students having access to the books that they need, whether digitally or paper books, so that they're learning what they need to learn so they are prepared for the next step, whether that's college or what has been dubbed, quote unquote, non-traditional paths of, having jobs and careers. There's so much work to be done at the local level with our school district. And so having someone like Ms. Wanda Brownlee Page here with her boots on the ground every other Tuesday at the school board is going to be important, just as important as having someone down at the State House who understands the process, can navigate, will be up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, who will drive down in the heat, rain, sleet, or snow to make sure that there's a presence and that there's a voice in the State House. My plan with all of these issues is to make sure I talk to the community and get the information needed so that I am clear on what our values are. You just can't make the assumption that you know what's important to the district just because you grew up here, or just because even because you live here. What issues are important to me are not the same issues for you, or not the same issues, for Miss Brenda, who is 76 on a limited income and looking at possibly losing her house because of high property taxes. Is not the same issue as an 18-year-old that just graduated from high school and is, looking for how to either pay for college or what their next steps should be. All of our issues are different. And so making sure I listen to the community, collect the information, and that my policy agenda is driven by that is number one. Number two, I like to say I'm young enough to do the work, to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, to make the drive, to be creative and take the risk. But I'm old enough to know I don't know everything. And it's not for me to know everything. It's for me to know the people who know the things that I do not know, bring them in the fold, make sure I lend them my ear, and that I let the information that they have been blessed with and that they have inform my decision making. And so with Wanda Brownlee Page on the school board, I plan on working with leaders like her and others to make sure that the decisions I'm making at the State House empower and position them to do the best that they can where they are. And having those partnerships and relationships with leaders across this district is going to only strengthen our district and ensure that we get what we need so that, again, we can have a safe, healthy, and thriving Wyandotte.
That's awesome. When you speak about education, it is it's also important that the right information is given so that the public is educated on what is going on in Topeka, and that the correct information is transmitted from Topeka down to Wyandotte County and the other surrounding areas. It is often that the everything gets lost in translation. It's either the misinformation or the disinformation that can turn people off, have people to disengage,
Yes.
make them angry, discouraged from voting. The narrative that is happening now is such hateful rhetoric. And this is very relevant to an area such as diverse as Wyandotte County. Because it was called the welcoming city, but we have people who are saying that immigrants being released from jails and mental institutions and things of that nature are jumping across the border and coming into our cities and taking our jobs and the Black jobs and things like that. And the thing that is in their mind is that when people think of immigrants, it is a negative connotation. And at first, let me say this, that information, is just wrong. The border is secure. It actually has decreased by more than 50% since President Biden and Madam VP have been in office. And there was actually a bill that the Republican Party decided to vote, well, they were told to vote against, that had everything that they wanted. And because it had what they wanted, and it would have happened up under President Joe Biden, they decided to vote against it. Still, however, the border still is very secure and it has gone down 50%. But what they show you is only immigrants who come from one specific area. And those immigrants tend to look like a lot of the people in Wyandotte County. And because of that, they face a lot of issues, in the city here. And that information causes not only them, but other people, when they get information concerning them, just as we can get information concerning us, it can be discouraging when you go, when it's time to vote, or you don't want to go, or you disengage because you feel like nothing is happening for you, and that things are so big and so broad, and you're just a small piece. And that's why I say local elections are so important. So how do you um, plan to make that connection and have the people of Wyandotte County to understand that they can be a part of what happens in Topeka? Topeka is not this land that this faraway secret city that they cannot come to, and voice their concerns or find the sessions on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and then also with the great things that you said, working with that paper or even having your own YouTube channel or your own page for them to engage in. How do you plan to make or help the people of Wyandotte County to help you to help them by remaining engaged? Because you cannot go to Topeka and do this all by yourself.
No, you cannot. And, whether it be like you said, having a YouTube or newsletter, one of the things we've done with Shirley's Kitchen Cabinet is have town halls and training sessions, live in person sessions with experts in these spaces, particularly Black experts in these spaces, experts that look like the community, that are of the community, come out and talk about all of the different issues and how these processes work. That is work that I'll continue to do, is work that we've done a very good job of, and it's work that I think is helpful, because you nailed it. I can't do this all by myself.
Mhm.
I do have to make sure that I have the community at my side, which is why I've knocked over 4,000 doors. But not only so that you get to know me, but so that you see you have a partner in this fight to get the things that we need to get done. Whether it be, I've hosted days at the Capitol or trainings at the Capitol where people can come down to the Capitol and get trained and speak to legislators across the state directly. The last time I hosted one of these, it was with another sorority, the AKAs. They reached out to me and asked me to assist with that. We talked to 10 different legislators that day, talked about how to utilize your civic agency and power to get things done. I would love to, with the help of the community, have a program where we bring in our high schoolers into the Capitol, because it's not that the information is inaccessible. Topeka's not this far off land. It's really only a 50-minute drive, right?
Right.
It's not this far off land. It's a 50-minute drive. But
Absolutely.
when you don't know and understand the process, and everything feels complex and like it's happening behind some magic curtain, it feels like it's a whole world away, that it's the world of Oz. And exposure is one of the most direct ways to dispel the myths that this is just inaccessible, ensuring that people know that this is really a simple process, and that you're going through and engaging in these processes every day. You may not know it. When your child comes up to you and they ask for an allowance and they give you all the different reasons why they have earned the money and what they will do with the money if they get it, they're lobbying. They're lobbying you, right? When they pull their friends together because they want to go spend the night at their friend or cousin's house, and they get three or their four of their friends together and they all come together to ask you if they can go spend the night at their friend's house, they are grassroots organizing. Okay, that's what
Right.
they're doing. They're grassroots organizing. And when you and your husband or your significant other or your parents come together and think about the rules that govern your household, you're writing legislation. You're writing legislation that everybody in your household, in your kingdom, in your tribe is expected to abide by. And so we actually go through these processes in our own home, but we don't see it as that
Right.
because it feels complex and it feels like something we're not attached to, but we are. And the downside of that is when we're not engaged, we're not paying attention. Those who are, and those who are typically those who do not have our best interests at heart, they then are allowed to make decisions on our behalf without any pushback or without any challenge. And so, whether we choose to be engaged or not, things are going to change and move forward. Policies will be passed with or without us. And when that happens, it's usually not in our best interest. And so, finding ways to break this stuff down, to provide access, and to ensure that people of the community can engage. Holding days at the Capitol, but holding events right here in the city and bringing folks to the city so that they're accessible, I think is very, very, very important if we want to see change in this district. And those are things that I've had experience doing. I've been lobbied by some kids before. They're some of the best lobbyists out here.
I know. I know.
And they use everything they got. Their cute
Right.
faces,
Right.
they put their voices up 2 and 3 octaves, the big droopy eyes. They
Uh-huh.
know how to get some stuff moved. They know how
They
to get
use
some
it
money out of your
for
pockets.
Right.
But
Right.
we got some of those same skill sets. We may
Right.
not be able to, use our 12-year-old cute faces, but
Mhm.
you've got the same skill set in that you have information that's important to legislators, that you have a vote, which is more than important to any legislator. There's not a legislator or an elected official that's in office without your vote,
Mhm.
not a single one. And that's the most valuable form of civic currency that you have, or civic capital that you have. So with your vote alone, you're dictating who gets to make decisions on your behalf and what those decisions should be. And so with this election, you're not just electing someone to go down to Topeka. You're electing someone to go to Topeka and work on your behalf. And you should be asking for a jobs report or a report on their progress. And you should be standing ready to support them so that they can do the best job that they can do. It's just like any other way that you would utilize your capital, your financial capital. When you've got something broken down in your house, your sink isn't working, you do your research, you try to find the best plumber, and you hire that plumber with your capital. But you don't give them the money and the keys to the house and then walk away and never come back. Right?
Mhm.
You make sure that they fix what they were supposed to fix. You check in
Absolutely.
on them to see if they need anything. Do you need me to move things from under the sink? Do you need me to move stuff from out of the kitchen so that you have access? You help them make sure they have everything that they need from you so that they can do the best job they can do. You check in, and guess what? When they don't do the job, you fire them and you get someone else to come and fix your sink. You don't just sit on it. You have political capital with your vote. Your vote is political capital. And it's not enough to go vote if you're not following up with your legislators, and not to just admonish them, but to support them. Hey,
Mhm.
Michelle, what do you need to be able to get this policy passed? Well, I need about 50 people to call in to this senator, this House of Representatives member, and this department to make sure they know it's important. You know, we've got to play our part in making sure that the people that we elect with our political capital, that we hire with our political capital, have everything they need to do the job well. And we check in on them and we support them where we can so that they can be positioned to do the best job that they can. And I think that my community is willing and is standing ready to do that. They just need a representative who's willing to go and put in that work and use that elbow grease and pull out that toolbox and get up under that sink and change them pipes out.
Right, right. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. I love how you broke that down because when you make information accessible, especially get away where people understand it, and welcoming and make them feel as though they have a seat at the table per se, that is how you get people engaged, and that is how you keep them active. And I think that that is what's missing. And also a big piece of what you said is the accountability part. People have the right after that vote, is to make sure that the person that they elected is doing the job that they sent them to do, and then also to support them in doing the job that you sent them to do. So
It's
I so
because the
appreciate
voters
it.
are the table. They don't need a seat at the table. They
Absolutely,
are the table. You are the
absolutely,
table. You are the
absolutely,
table. That's it.
absolutely, because you work for them. And
That's
that's
it.
what I tell people. These politicians, they work for us. They work for us. So I can go into that all day. We're going to run out of time. But I thank you so much for this conversation. It has been wonderful. It sounds like you have a plan and that you are more than capable. I hope everyone is registered to vote, and that they will cast their vote on August the 6th. And for those who are not registered to vote, just keep tuning in. You see advertisements for some things that I have planned to get those registers to vote who are in the surrounding areas. And we are going to actually, we have some things planned to go into the jails and the prisons. Well, the jails are
Yes.
prisons, to get some people registered to vote as well. But we will get that sent out. But before we go, Sarah, thank you so much for being here. But let everyone know how they can reach you.
You can find me at my website at watleyforwyco.com. That's Watley, like Jody Watley, WATLEYFOR. Wyco, WYCO.com. You can find me hitting these streets too. If you see me out here, I'm usually in a Patrick Mahomes jersey. I switched it up today. But if you see me out here in these streets, wave at me, holler at me. You can talk to me directly. I'm gonna be in these streets till election day, and I will be out here after election day. And if I'm elected your representative, you can expect me to knock your door again. It won't be the last time you see me. And so make sure you go out and vote. Most importantly, tell your family and friends to go vote. Even more importantly, do some research on the different candidates. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to help anyone who needs help with any getting to the polls, understanding who the candidates are. Any help that you need, don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you again, Dr. Karasay, for having this platform. These platforms are so important. They mean so much. And for you to share your platform with me, Sora, means a whole lot. So thank you so, so much for your time and your support.
Well, you are more than welcome. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Up Close and Culture with Dr. Karasay. Make sure that you guys stay in for the next show. Again, make sure that you show up to the polls. Early voting is still going on. If you can't vote early, definitely be there on Tuesday, August the 6th, to make sure that you exercise your right to vote. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about voting or any issues with it, definitely contact us here at the station. You can always email me with any concerns and I will get back to you. But if not, I will see you guys on the first Sunday. Take care. And Sarah, you have a good one and good luck to you.
Thank you. Vote
Okay.
Michelle Watley for Wyandotte.
All right.
Tuesday, August
Bye.
6th. Bye.